Just like the other two paths, the path of the Watcher granted 2 skills, and as he focused on the information, the details of each skill flooded his mind. Whisper of the Dream was a simple skill that allowed its user to project thoughts into the minds of others, while Observe the Dream allowed its user the ability to see the surrounding area clearly. Both skills appeared to be weak compared to the skills granted by the other 2 paths, or at least less impactful, but that suited Garrett just fine. He had already died once, at least if his memories from Earth were to be believed, and the experience, though a surprise, hadn't managed to shake his detached personality one bit. So it was with some casualness that he mentally selected the path of the Watcher and watched as the world warped around him. Blinking through his new eyes, he looked down at his hands that rested on the ornate chair's armrests. "This is my body from Earth. How was it here? And why did it only appear after I selected my path?" With nearly no information, there was no way for Garrett to figure out what was going on, so he gave up and began to examine his surroundings. The room had lost much of its haze, and the details continued to grow clearer as he stood up from his chair. To Garrett, it felt as if he stood in the real world, but there was a faint fluctuation at the corner of his vision that helped him understand that the room he stood in was part of the dream. Checking over his body, he was happy to see he was in perfect shape. His death on Earth had completely destroyed his body, but here he stood, as if the horrific damage his limbs had suffered had never happened. Suddenly struck with curiosity, he squatted down and did a few push-ups. Though he could feel his body going through the motions, no feeling of muscle fatigue accompanied the effort. Rather, he found himself growing sleepy as he expended his mental energy. Stopping, he stood again, his brow furrowing slightly. Garrett, or rather Paul, had always been hypersensitive to the changes of his mind, and his small test seemed to confirm what he had suspected. This world he'd entered wasn't a world of physical ability like the world where his body currently fought off the remnants of the fever that had plagued him for the last 4 days. Instead, it was a world of the mind, where his strength was measured by how clear his mind was. Shaking his head to clear away the many questions swarming him, Garrett walked over to the single doorway, trying the doorknob. Feeling it turn easily, he suddenly paused as a bunch of floating text appeared in his vision. "You are about to exit the safe zone and enter the dream. Once you leave, your choice of path will be locked, and the other paths will no longer be available. Selected path, Watcher. Stay, leave."